It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for December 8th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you soar through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Uncle Video Games himself gives Microsoft and Activision his blessing. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa from Giant Bomb, everybody. Jan, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm ready to hang up my picture of Jeff Keighley on the wall.
Yes.
I've decorated with a popcorn garland.
Yes, you got to put out the Mountain Dew and the Doritos by the Keighley tree, right? The Keighley bush.
I smeared peanut butter right underneath the Keighley bush as a sacred text decrees.
Yes. And then we unburied the Jolt Cola and we put that out. Yep, absolutely.
Oh yeah. And then I just have tickets to an old IMAX movie I saw in the 5th grade. Right in front of the Keighley bush.
Blessed be the IMAX, of course. Yes. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a fun time this evening. We're going to talk over this thing.
Yes.
I've enjoyed hanging out with people and just kind of poking fun at video games while really enjoying video games during the Game Awards over the last couple of years. Seems like he's putting together a pretty decent show, and it feels like the awards feel like especially like an afterthought this year because it's like it's Elden Ring, maybe God of War for the big award. But who knows? Maybe we'll get in there and there'll be some surprises and that'll be fun. But even if they're not, it's like, hey, there'll probably be some surprises in terms of the world premieres and things like that. So it should be a good time.
I think much like most award shows and even our own Game of the Year stuff, don't take it too seriously, folks.
Yeah, it's just kind of a reason to have conversations with your friends about games, and that's cool.
Also, it's always a nice time for the industry to physically get together for the first time in, 2-3 years now?
Yeah, right. Because even the summer, it was like a few people went to Keighley's thing over the summer, but most people didn't. Seems like a lot more people converging on LA for this right now. That's been fun to see on social media, people going out to dinner and stuff. I'm jealous, of course, but honestly, more than that, I'm just happy that people are getting to hang out again. Yeah. It's like, I can't wait to see what happens with all these crazy cats get together.
I have an idea for the poll later. I'm going to write this down. I don't want to jump
the gun. Thank you so much. I love that. Hell yeah. I was like, I'll think of something during the show. So there we go. I got Jan here to think of it for me. While he's doing that, let's introduce what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube, and shout out to the RSS gang. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Valve says long-term Call of Duty... here we go. Sorry. So Valve says long-term Call of Duty Steam offer not needed as Xbox always follows through on its promises. And by Valve, that means Game Duel, who is, in fact, Uncle Video Games. Valve co-founder and CEO Gabe Newell has offered Microsoft a timely show of support as the Xbox maker bids to convince antitrust regulators to approve its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The European Commission and the UK CMA recently launched in-depth probes into the $69 billion deal, while Microsoft executives are set to meet with the US FTC chair Lena Khan and other commissioners on Wednesday, in order to make their case for why the transaction shouldn't be blocked over competition concerns. In the meantime, in a bid to address these concerns, earlier this week, Microsoft said it had offered Sony a 10-year legally enforceable contract to make each new Call of Duty game available on PlayStation the same day it comes to Xbox. On Wednesday, it said it had entered into a similar deal with Nintendo and also offered one to Valve, the owner of the leading PC digital game distribution platform Steam. This is stuff we covered a little bit so far, but in response to this, Kotaku reached out to Gabe Newell, and Gabe Newell gave a response that says, "We're happy that Microsoft wants to continue using Steam to reach customers with Call of Duty when their Activision acquisition closes," Valve boss Newell wrote in a statement. Microsoft has been on Steam for a long time, and we take it as a signal that they're happy with gamers' reception to that and the work we are doing. Our job is to keep building valuable features for not only Microsoft, but all Steam customers and partners. Microsoft offered and even sent us a draft agreement for a long-term Call of Duty commitment, but that wasn't necessary for us because A, we're not believers in requiring any partner to have an agreement that locks them to shipping games on Steam into the distant future. B, Phil and the games team at Microsoft have always followed through on what they told us they would do, so we trust their intentions. And C, we think Microsoft has all the motivation they need to be on the platforms and devices where Call of Duty customers want to be. This is kind of couldn't be more well-timed for Microsoft, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this doesn't seem like, I mean, I don't even know how it would work, but this doesn't seem like Microsoft putting Gabe Newell up to this. This honestly just seems like Kotaku reached out to Gabe Newell, and he's like, these are my true feelings on the matter. And you can kind of, if you are Microsoft, this helps to point to this and say, hey, regulators, even Gabe Newell is kind of pointing this stuff out. Now, Sony can very rightfully point out that it's in a different circumstance than Steam. It's competing in Microsoft in a more direct way. But at the same time, these points address many of the things that Sony have brought up. Like, we don't trust Microsoft. They could pull the rug out from underneath us. And Gabe Newell is speaking to a long-term relationship where that has never happened. And so, yeah, do you think this is going to help push things in Microsoft's direction as we go back and forth on this story?
I feel like it's so hard to anticipate what will work in favor of Microsoft versus what will work against them, because I feel like no matter what feather in Microsoft's cap or like what legitimate point, whether it's making the continued deals with Nintendo that we reported on yesterday, or even this update with Steam, I feel like Sony, and I mean their lawyers have to, right? They have to do their job.
They have to.
And twist the narrative of like, nah, man, this is gonna hurt us. You think everyone being able to play games is good? No, it's gonna hurt us. And I feel like they're gonna do exactly what you said. They're gonna argue that Steam is not a direct competitor, despite, you know, numerous people being able to fire up games on Steam, even like a Steam Deck. Like, the idea of perhaps playing a Call of Duty on a Steam Deck kind of sounds intriguing, more so than trying to play it on a Switch, at least.
Yes, definitely.
and you know, I would think that Sony, I just don't see them thinking that this is making the playing field fair for anyone.
Yeah, and I mean, this also speaks to what we were saying in the response to the story earlier this week when Jess was on, where, you know, Microsoft came out and said, hey, we have this deal with Nintendo. We offered a deal to Valve. Nintendo seemingly signed the deal, but I think they probably feel pretty similar to what Valve is saying here. Where it's like, this is not necessary. We would, of course, had let you put your games on Nintendo Switch wherever you want. We let everyone do that. This was not necessary. But Nintendo says, yeah, sure, we'll sign that. You know, we'll get in a position where you're going to like work hard to try to make us more money. Of course, we'll do that. But really, Gabe's position here is the truth, because this is and always has been a game of positioning the pieces on the board to present an argument to regulators. There's a reason the deal got announced pretty late. You know, it was on Japan time. This was a deal with Nintendo, but it also felt like, well, even then, you might want to wait for a little bit to find a time that was better for everyone. It's like, no, well, they were meeting with the FTC, or they are meeting with the FTC this week. And they wanted to get this out there so they can have these pieces on the board in position to make the argument. And what Gabe is saying here pretty much illuminates that and proves that's exactly what was happening here. But for Microsoft, it kind of doesn't matter, because they aren't really speaking to us. They aren't really speaking to even these companies they're making deals with. They're trying to just have a conversation with regulators, and then they can worry about the logistics of what it actually looks like to put games out on a Nintendo Switch, or whatever the follow-up device is there, or whatever it means to put out games on Steam, which they were probably going to do anyhow, as Gabe says. And they can worry about that later once the deal goes through. Right now, they have one big fish to fry, and it is get the approval. As we always in this, as we talk about the story every single week, we're saying it's probably still going to go through. That's still where I'm at. I think we are kind of waiting to see how Sony reacts to this latest maneuver, and it hasn't yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. It might just be doing so, and it doesn't mean it hasn't either. It might be doing so behind closed doors. It's just they've done so much out in the public that it's weird for, like, okay, a couple days have gone by, we haven't heard from Sony. Is the other shoe about to drop? We'll see. Do you think this is the saga here coming to a somewhat of an end as Microsoft does have its meeting with the FTC?
I don't see it ending quite yet. I feel like they're gonna pull a Hail Mary and pull out a completely asinine argument of like, okay, all right, Sony, that legitimately does not make any sense here. You can't put Call of Duty on Tiger Electronics because those don't exist anymore.
I'd like to see the Game.com Call of Duty has always been my favorite. That's what I want to see.
Phil Spencer is going to make an announcement. All right, everyone, we're putting Call of Duty on newgrounds.com. We bought Newgrounds. No one cared.
Yep. That's the true future of video gaming that I can't wait for. Going forward here, you're right. Anything could still happen in the story. They've given themselves until June to really close the deal. We are just in December, so in the worst timeline, this goes on for another 6 months. But it does feel like there's a chance for this to be the final chapter where now that all the regulators are in place and have had their meetings and had a chance to make a decision, the FTC is probably going to come back and say, because we have the 2-2 split of our on our FTC board, we're not going to actually pursue this. We're not going to bring it to a vote. But we got this nice concession where Microsoft says they'll agree to a legally binding 10-year agreement with any competitor that wants to sign it. So now the ball's in Sony's court, and that's exactly where Microsoft wanted to position things. And it's leaving Sony out in the cold when it comes to looking alone. Gabe Newell going out making this comment makes Sony look alone. Nintendo signing the agreement makes Sony look like they're alone. Yeah, sure, all that stuff's true, but then also it really does put the impetus back on Sony to say either sign the deal or come up with a new argument, because now really, what can you say? They're giving you what you want, at least for a certain period of time. If you want more years, to say that too. Just say, okay, we'd rather have 15 years or even 20 years, but they're not even saying that, at least not publicly.
Yeah, I feel like the way Microsoft is positioning themselves, they're really letting Sony make their own errors at this point and really making Sony look like a fool, while Microsoft is organically garnering support across the industry. Not necessarily support, I'd say, just like legitimate business deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the kind of thing where we can. I get why Sony's still hesitant, of course, and I get why they want to try to not say anything publicly about like leaning one way or the other about signing anything, because they want to keep all their options open. But this does feel like the deal is on the table, and it kind of comes down to a yes or no. But
I think I just always go back to the option of Sony. Why not make your own Call of Duty?
Yeah, and I mean, I think they probably are. They almost certainly are probably making something along those lines, and we just haven't heard about it yet. They have 10 live service games in the works. One of those, almost by the law of averages, is probably a modern military shooter of some sort.
It has to be,
yeah, it kind of feels like it has to be, yeah. But we'll see. Yes, as Sex Power in chat points out, MAG 2. And thank you,
That's
Sex
a lot
Power.
of power to wield.
Yes, that is. No one chatter should have all that sex power, absolutely. All right, let's get into the Game Awards segment of the show. There's a few stories that may or may not have something to do with the Game Awards. Starting here with Street Fighter 6 is launching June 2nd, 2023, at least according to a PlayStation Network leak. We'll see if that actually translates into maybe a real announcement that confirms this. This comes from Chris Moyes at Destructoid. While Capcom is yet to announce a street date for its fantastic-looking scrapper, Street Fighter 6, an unfortunate leak on the PlayStation Networks appears to have done the job for them, suggesting that the highly anticipated sequel will hit PC and console platforms on June 2nd, 2023. This is as spotted by Twitter user Surprise Burn. The temporary PSN page not only featured both a date and pre-order windows for 3 editions of Street Fighter 6, but also brand new splash art depicting poster boy Luke at his most Popeye-looking ass, which, have you seen this? It's like him like kind of squinting one eye and has his hand up. Looks like he's about to give you the middle finger. It's
Popeye's real big with the kids.
Yeah, Popeye's huge, absolutely. So the various versions include the standard, deluxe, ultimate editions of the fighter, and the deluxe edition includes a year 1 character pass, and the ultimate edition features a year 1 ultimate pass, which probably has a bunch of the extra outfits and things like that. Curiously, all 3 pre-orders include an additional color, but for only 6 characters, while some have suggested bizarrely that this means Street Fighter 6 is only launching with 6 characters. Capcom has already confirmed an 18-character launch roster. So, yes, everyone can relax there. This feels late to me, Jan, June 2nd, because EVO usually happens in July or August, but at the same time, if they know they need that much time, they should take that much time, right?
Yeah, I was a little bummed to see that it's launching like in the middle of the year in 23. But again, taking into consideration the launch of Street Fighter V, and it's even weird to say launch because that felt so weirdly mismanaged. Take as much time as they need, and I feel like, you know, to pacify the audience and the fighting game community, perhaps they'll run some more open beta tests to give people a little bit of taste, just to stress test as many things as possible. Marino in chat is saying Evo was the first weekend of August last year.
Yes.
No dates for 23 just yet, but I feel like the pro scene will hit the lab really hard and run some late hours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And honestly, there's going to be probably so many tests and so many early access periods, especially for the pros, that they will.
I imagine like some events too.
Yes, you're right, events too, and then and you know, they honestly might just hand it over to some of these pro players early. Just say, hey, if you want to play in your house with your buds, here you go. That's always on the table. It'll be fine. And even if pros only have a month or two of practice for the game, that could create some interesting matchups and some scenarios where anything could happen. And I would really like to see that. So this game probably does get confirmed with a date at the Game Awards. That feels right. Capcom has teased like, hey, you guys should watch the Game Awards. And that's
okay. Probably
for this. I would like it to be. You know, I heard they were working on a Dino Crisis like a year ago, but I have no idea if that was just a mix-up with that other dinosaur game where they're falling from the sky. So
the Horde.
Whatever.
One.
Yeah, the Horde, Dino Hordes, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. But we'll see. If it's Capcom here at the Game Awards, it probably is just Street Fighter 6 right now.
Is it maybe a Monster Hunter? It's probably Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, it's probably just Street Fighter. And yeah, I mean, there's Monster Hunter World 2 should be in the cards here pretty soon. They already announced Dragon's Dogma 2, so, and that still seems like far away from getting like a new trailer. Someone said Soracane in Notley said Soracane in chat. Dinosauracane. Okay, I see it.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, more stuff that could be happening at the Game Awards. We might finally get to know what Hideo Kojima's next game is at the Game Awards. Let me pop over here, bring it up. He posted previously on social media images that vaguely relating to something he's working on, where he said who, where, and how. And now he says, now why? And the picture is how come? It's which is just very Kojima. I'm very into this. I don't know. When you see this, Jan, and again, to like let people know if you're listening to the audio version, it is the people inside the human scanner device that Kojima has, his soul capturing machine that he keeps in his basement, where he also keeps the souls. And it is 3 actors, and they are lit from behind, so you can't see their faces. People have done, I don't know, the math on it, and they think it's at least one of these people are one of the actors who was previously in Death Stranding. What do you think is happening here in terms of which game might get announced?
He's so weird on Twitter, and I feel like I'm not the biggest Kojima fan, but I feel like I'm becoming the biggest Kojima fan.
Yeah, this stuff works for me too, yes.
It's like the way that he's able to generate his own hype cycle out of, I don't want to say nothing, but like random things. It's just like, all right, cool. What are you cooking up? Wasn't there an image that came out a couple months ago with Elle Fanning?
Yes. And I think that's actually who it is on the left, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, that seems right. She's already been captured, so she's never escaping the Kojima verse now.
Yes.
But yeah, that's where it's like, okay.
What if he's making real life Pokemon, but with people?
Oh, damn. Oh, that I think he would. If you told that idea to Kojima, and he'd be like, "Man, I should be doing that. That's exactly what I should." It's just a game where you kidnap celebrities and take them to your light capture studio thing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And you play as Hideo Kojima. I love it. Yeah, go ahead.
For folks that looking at this tweet, I want everyone to look at the top reply. because it is amazing. If you scroll down, Grubb,
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to scroll down.
Yeah, from LJ Katz, you forgot the most important one. What the fuck?
Oh no.
Okay.
I have a different.
The algorithm is hurting us here.
Okay, it's fine.
Did you see this one? Is it why do you come? Is that the?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, Optimus Prime saying, "Let them come." So.
I can't immediately tell who these other two are. I'm sure the internet has done exhaustive work already to identify.
Yeah,
these
so this has led up to us
individuals.
knowing that, and this comes from Ben Lyons at Game Reactor. The game will feature Elle Fanning and Shiori Kutsuna, and now a third actor is being teased. Let's see here. I think someone was able to. Yes, the third individual will be Leah Seydoux, who appeared in Death Stranding as Fragile. So fragile. Fragile. So that it seems like this could be Death Stranding 2. I would say that I've heard a couple of times Death Stranding 2 will be there.
Cool.
I don't know if I can't confirm that, but that's, obviously he's bringing something, and this doesn't seem like a podcast, but who knows? Who could say?
Why am I excited for this?
They got you.
He got me. Numerous times now, Grubb, I've thought about I should play through Death Stranding again.
Have you played the director's
Multiple
cut?
times.
It's pretty good.
I've not played through the director's cut. Hearing Dan's enthusiasm about it poisoned my mind.
Yeah, it's
so
scary.
now I'm even more so curious. The thing that I am the most intrigued by is that one of the other people he seems to be hanging out with, or at least tweeting about a lot with, is Jordan Peele.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, what is the working relationship there? Is that just like we're hanging out, or two writers talking and shooting the breeze? Or is there any actual like work being conducted here? Is Jordan Peele helping kidnap people for Kojima? Vice versa. Also, what is the deal with Kojima's obsession earlier this year with Paddington?
Yeah. I mean, listen, he should make a movie license game based on Paddington. That would rule. Here's how it works, Jan, I think.
Okay.
Kojima doesn't have any friendship that doesn't somehow end up in his work. So I think if you meet Kojima and you're Jordan Peele, I almost said Jordan Poole, it's a different guy. Jordan Peele, if you meet Kojima, even if it is just a conversation, something there is going to end up being a part of this marketing campaign or actually being in the game itself. So I think no part of the Kojima Hollywood complex goes unused. So I think it's just a matter of time before we see what that actually turns into. And all that might sound like a criticism. I love it. I love that we have Kojima out here doing this stuff, creating his own hype cycle, teasing us with this weird stuff. This is not as weird as some of his stuff in the past. I think he's good at that too, where it's like, it's not all the same tone. He goes up and down and tries different things. And he says, I always want to try different things when I'm like promoting my games. I think he's really good at it. We're talking about it. And I think there's a lot to talk about, even if it does just turn out to be Death Stranding 2. And you're right. I'm ready to fall in love with that franchise. A game that I thought was okay and could have been a lot better, that did get a little bit better over time. Death Stranding 2, sure, win me over with that. I want to see it.
He occupies so much of my brain real estate.
Yep.
And I'm not the biggest fan of most of his games.
Yeah.
How does he do this?
I don't know. He's just got, it's that aura.
But like, I'm not angry at him. It's just like,
absolutely not.
It's just, I'm just incredulous about it. It's like, here you are. All right.
I honestly hope this is just like a modern day super realistic Boktai. And he sells like a little sensor you can plug into the USB-C part of the Steam Deck, and you got to go outside in the sun. I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, I know we were just talking about all these people popping up in Kojima's work. I want the opposite to happen, where I want Hideo Kojima to just be in the background of a scene of the next Jordan Peele film.
And Nicholas Winding Refn, or however you say his name. Yeah, I want to see him there. A main character in a Guillermo. I want to see him in full monster makeup in a Del Toro film. Let's make it all happen. Hell yeah. I can't wait. Man. Thanks to, let's see here. I'm sorry. OG Kawangi in chat just said, Keeley just announced the show is 2.5 hours long. So 2.5 hours long. God. So that's not too bad. That'll be 3 hours total with that pre-show. So that we could survive that, Jan. I'm like feeling much better about this, because part of me was like, this is going to be 4.5 hours of our lives tonight.
I thought the same. I really thought it was gonna be 3 to 4 hours.
So I could survive this. This is fine. We're gonna be all right. Although I bet there'll still be points where it drags. Let's stay in the Keelyverse. A Forspoken demo looks set to be announced imminently. This comes from Jordan Miller at VGC. A tweet promoting the demo was posted by the Japanese PlayStation Twitter account. It seems as though it may have been mistakenly published ahead of schedule, with an official announcement potentially set for the Game Awards on Thursday. Alternatively, the demo could be confirmed during a new gameplay showcase on Friday. The 11-minute stream will be broadcast on December 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So there's two opportunities for this to pop up. One could be the Game Awards. If it doesn't show up there, it'll probably be at this other thing. But I think a demo for Forspoken is, if that game is ready for prime time, exactly what that thing needs. I have seen a bunch of trailers for this. I'm like going back and forth on whether or not I'm really interested in the world and the character dynamics that they're setting up. At the very least, I think the gameplay looks good. Let's find out for ourselves if it actually is. Where are you at with Forspoken?
I think I'm in the same boat. I feel like the game kind of shot itself in the foot with that last trailer that went viral of
the little weird commercial
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to a cuff.
I don't know if that represents the whole tone of the game in its entirety. I think we've gleaned that it is kind of an isekai, so the protagonist could be super incredulous about everything that's happening. Maybe they've adjusted some stuff, or maybe it plays better in the game, and that is actually the tone of the game based off of the trailer. It looks neat, is what I'll also say, and that I would like to run around in whatever they have going. And I am not the most well-versed in game development. I don't know if releasing a demo this early in the process could help or hurt it, if they can make proper adjustments given the reception of the demo. Okay, cool. We got to rework a lot of things, y'all.
You know, it is Square Enix, right? And they have done that, but they've done that in circumstances where it was very early demos for things like Bravely Default and that whole franchise, and a couple of the Octopath games or the HD 2D games, I should say, where they came out and they're like, hey, here's an early trial, early demo, and I think they even sometimes call them betas. And then they're like, okay, we're going to take that feedback and put that into the final game. This probably is a little bit too close. Maybe the game is probably too big and ambitious to do too much there. But this is also the company that put out a demo for Balan Wonderworld. So it's like they might just be in the habit of making demos, even if they'll put the game, portray the game in a poor light, which, that demo did no favors for Balan Wonderworld. People had hype, and it just immediately evaporated as soon as they played that thing.
Someone went to jail because of it.
Someone went to jail because of it twice. No, there's no reason to assume that's what's going to happen here. But, I think it's just a sign that is what Square Enix does. They make demos for their games. So hopefully it's ready. Like I said, hopefully it's ready for prime time. And we actually get to play a game that does show itself off and say, hey, here's why it's fun. Here's why you should care. And here's how the balance between this character being in an isekai and being able to speak to their surroundings actually makes sense in context, which, those trailers and little commercial spots always are difficult to pull off because they don't include that context. And it's so easy to be on social media and be like, this feels weird. Also, it could just be weird. It could just be bad. We'll see.
Could be both.
That's so Forspoken, maybe at the Game Awards tonight as well. Let's I have another one. Jason, I'm going to jump down one. We'll come back to this GameStop one. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, yes. Actually, I'm going back up one. Sorry about that. Expect some Crash Bandicoot news at the Game Awards. This comes from Ben Lyons at the Game Reactor. In the lead up to the Game Awards show, which is being held later this evening, host Jeff Keighley and developers around the world have been teasing appearances. We've seen Larian Studios, Respawn Entertainment, and now the latest to join this fray is Toys for Bob, who has put out a rather blatant tease suggesting that the former Crash Bandicoot rumors held some truth. In a tweet sent out earlier this morning for us in Europe, for the writer here, the Crash Bandicoot account simply said, "So, what's everyone doing tomorrow?" And then that's, of course, referring to probably the Game Awards there. There's been rumors of that Crash Bandicoot Wumpa League, I think it's called, which is like a partying sports game.
Right. I remember us talking about the Wumpa League.
Yeah, that'll probably be there. They should keep doing things with Crash, right? Crash Bandicoot 4 was really well received. but apparently it wasn't well received enough for them to immediately start making Crash Bandicoot 5. But I think it's a good sign that they're like, let's keep doing more stuff with Crash and try to keep it in people's minds, right?
Yeah, I remember a lot of people are very positive, or at least very high on that trilogy remake that came out, right?
Yes, yes, people really like that. Absolutely, people are asking for sort of that same treatment for a lot of stuff, and that was, Toys for Bob, I think, as well. So I think that was. If it's not, it's one of those other teams. But it's like, Toys for Bob did do Crash Bandicoot 4, and people love that.
I hope it is the good old Crash mascot costume that just comes out on stage and hands Jeff Keighley a lump of fruit and just leaves.
Yes, I would. I'd really appreciate it. And maybe just like yells at him for just like 5 seconds with the megaphone or whatever. I'd appreciate that too. Here, there's a handful of other things I want to talk about before I move on from the Keighley zone. Some maybe predictions, kind of things I've heard. Not all these things I can say, but I'll say Armored Core from FromSoft. I think it might be there. I would like to see that, but that's mostly a prediction because it's like basically just hearing that FromSoft really liked working with Keighley on the Summer Game Fest where they did show off Elden Ring. Yes, was that the Summer Game Fest like a year and a half ago?
Yes. That was very positive for them.
Yes, very positive, and they kind of want to replicate that. And that could mean DLC for Elden Ring, like a big expansion. But Armored Core also seems like a real possibility. They've been working on these things in parallel, so I think that'd be very cool.
Was Armored Core, did it ever come out on anything else besides PlayStation platforms?
I don't remember. I don't think so. But
I think there's like a Game Boy one.
That always did happen, right? Like even like Microsoft will put like rare games that they owned on Game Boy at a certain point, like long after. True. Like there was Viva Pinata on DS or something like that. So
okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's on Xbox 360. Armored Core 4 was on 360. There were at least a few on 360. Okay, so no reason to assume this would be a PlayStation only thing, other than we've heard that PlayStation wants to keep re-upping that partnership with them. So this could just come out and be announced as that. We'll see. I think that when people get their hopes up for EA to show off stuff from Dragon Age, that's probably not going to happen. Instead, there's going to be some stuff where the EA logo pops up, and I bet there will be some like fantasy stuff, and it'll either be Wild Heart, that that Monster Hunter game that they're working on with the Koei Tecmo, right? Or another game that's coming from another partner studio that people probably will see. We'll see. So
Skate 4 updates, maybe.
I know that I would love that. Yeah,
they've been. If folks have not been paying attention to like the Skate dev updates, they're actually fantastic. Being super transparent. They're super fun. So maybe they just use the Game Awards as a platform to share more of those. That's.
I think that would be really cool. Who knows if this is the right platform for that? We'll see if we'll know tonight. But if they do choose that, I'm very excited to see it. All right. Bumping back down here, let's go to the GameStop story. GameStop lost almost $95 million in the past 3 months and is no longer focusing on crypto. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Yes, man, GameStop story. GameStop has released its latest earnings report, shining a light on how the company is performing from a business perspective. Starting with the numbers, GameStop's revenue dipped slightly to $1.186 billion, down from $1.297 billion during the same period last year. That was a decline of $111 million. And I guess let's stop right there. This is a company that still is able of generating $1 billion in a quarter. It feels like you gotta, at a certain point, you just gotta figure out a way to make that profit, right? Like you just gotta.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to go to stores to buy stuff. If you have that sort of inertia, I mean, obviously I don't run a big corporation like this, but it just feels like you should be able to turn that into something positive for your company, especially as we are, as the new generation of consoles is crescendoing, right?
Totally. I feel like there's also, I don't know. I know that trends of consumer spending has been going kind of down, but I feel like if they're able to lose 95 million in the past 3 months, but still be generating $1.2 billion, you can still salvage some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that can get scary for a lot of people because it probably does mean more job cuts, and there have been some job cuts in the corporate office, but. Still, it's oh man, $1 billion in revenue.
Yeah, sell GameStop.
sell pizza. Literally walk in, yell slash pizza, and then you just bring me a Domino's immediately.
Just get a hot and ready machine there.
Yeah, it just gets charged my Power Ups reward card. Yeah, hot ready or a pizza portal from Little Caesars. Hail the pizza portal. My true God, my true one and only God. All right, let's keep going here. The GameStop posted an overall net loss of that aforementioned $95 million during the quarter, an improvement against the $105.4 million loss from the same period last year. So I guess they are moving in the right direction. It just feels like they're not going to be able to really make that shift in time for them to save themselves. The retailer also reported that it had cash equivalents, and marketable securities of $1.042 billion at the end of the period, which compares to $1.413 billion during the same period last year. So there's more details here, but basically they are using a lot of that cash that I'm sure they got from selling stocks when the stock was going up because of the meme stock thing. And now they have a little bit less of it. They still have $1 billion sitting there that they can turn into cash and then turn into an acquisition. And they said they're looking at that, but I just don't know, other than pizza, what they go out and acquire to make GameStop make sense for a new generation of players.
Yeah, I can't immediately think of it because I'm thinking of like my partner's students, and because she'll come to me with questions about games, about like, what do I talk to them about? And then all they're talking about is stuff like Valorant or Overwatch or free to play games that I don't know. Maybe they can they acquire someone like Razer or like a PC game or a a gaming laptop company, like a cheaper one perhaps,
right? So
partner up.
What were they were acquiring there for a while, like cell phone resellers. I can't even remember they not like Cricket Wireless or something like that, maybe something along those lines. And it's like, that you go in there and you buy cell phones that are have plans attached to AT&T and whoever else. Right. And that made some sense for a while there. But now I think things have shifted in that space too, where people are just buying their phones directly from Apple and even directly from Google and a few other vendors in that space. But it's like, the Apple Store is still kind of a good model. And if you could replicate that by buying someone like Razer or something like that. Problem is Razer's probably worth more than $1 billion, I think, probably.
Sure.
But like there are a lot of similar companies in that space. I just don't know if they would then be able to turn that into people wanting to walk in with the idea of buying a laptop. I think people walk in with the idea of maybe buying a used laptop on a whim if they see one in the case and it's really cheap. I don't know. And really, that's what they say, that they're going to focus on still selling games, and they're going to focus on reselling stuff that people sell to them. And then they've not mentioned NFTs. So like even in terms of like their new initiatives, they're scaling back. They're going back to the things that always worked for them. It's just very unclear. And actually, maybe it's not unclear. It seems like that stuff's not going to work for them for that much longer, right?
I feel like that has to drive eventually. Also, especially with the growing trend of moving towards digital games.
Yes.
The Pizza Baron in the Giant Bomb chat, I don't know if this is a joke or not, but they bring up game rentals.
Yeah.
That is perhaps they turn their existing, like, what is their membership stuff called? Like Power Up
Rewards. I think it's the Dan Reichert's Power Up Rewards.
Power Up Rewards. What if they turn that to also include, hey, you can rent a game, maybe not like GameFly, but like Redbox style of like you get one a month, maybe, and like that's like a free game that you can bring in and out or whatever.
Siegfried CSM in chat says they piloted a program like that and it failed, and it's like even if it was working, it's not like a long-term solution, right? Because we are going more digital, and there's a significant and growing percentage of players who do have an Xbox Series S, doesn't have a disk drive at all, and I guess Microsoft is or one of the companies was planning to introduce a USB-C disk drive that you could plug in, but that's not an answer really to GameStop's issues. I do remember a few months, maybe years back now. I think it was pre-pandemic. GameStop tried to do this thing where it's like, listen, our strength is that you walk into a store and the GameStop associates, and that's like their terminology, know know what they're talking about, and you can have a conversation with them about games. And I know a lot of people are going to sort of laugh at that because a lot of people have had interactions with GameStop employees where they don't know what they're talking about, but some do. And for a lot of people, GameStop was like the one place in your town where you can go inside and someone would be able to talk to you in some capacity about games. And GameStop saw that as a strength. And they're like, okay, so we want to change the layout of our store to be more of a chill hangs place. And then we can then offer up collectibles, which is one of the things they are going to focus on, games, and then maybe some like services. And I'm like, okay, could you turn into a place where I rent it out for a day on the weekend for a kid's birthday party, and you have all the games and vintage games ready to go. That stuff, you have access to that stuff, and you have a distribution network to make that really easy to make, like, set that up and get things to places where they need to go. But I just don't know. That seems like a real tough. Yeah, Charles GameStop cheese, says Dresh. Yes, that's. I also don't know if that's something that could fully work. Those game trucks are out there already eating that lunch, and people seem to like those. So,
I'd perhaps pivot to something like how Hot Topic is not just all about goth stuff anymore, but it's just like pop culture T-shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of GameStops. God, it almost got me too.
Yeah.
A lot of GameStops are already selling much more than just used games. They're selling Funko Pops and other gaming memorabilia, so that wouldn't be too big of a jump, I guess. To be like, hey, let's also just sell shirts.
I think that's almost certainly going to be more and more what we say. It's already been the trend in that direction, but yeah. In terms of the hang sesh, Dr. Karate there in the Twitch chat says, yeah, that was never going to work unless you had a huge space. The store I worked at was a broom closet in a mall, and it's like, yeah, that's... you only have so much square footage, and they always did a good job of like packing that with a million games, but games are these small, tiny things. Kiosks where you're going to have people elbow to elbow with other people playing games, and you're going to put 5 of those next to each other. In some stores, that would take up almost your entire floor plan, and it just wouldn't make sense anymore. So, yeah, it's the real answer here, Jan, is probably GameStop not long for this world, at least in its current form, and they've known that for forever, and everyone else has, and it's just kind of slowly watching it die.
Yeah, maybe they should just start selling boutique-style electronics instead.
Yeah. And, just there's no more Radio Shack anymore. Let me go and buy capacitors and stuff in GameStop instead. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Be good old Radio Shack, GameStop.
And we walk in and be like, I can get some batteries, and look, there's some Radio Shack brand walkie-talkies. Yeah, I'll go get that. Sure, why not?
I'll get a GameStop soldering iron.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. Yes, hell yeah. All right, let's keep moving. Nintendo has allegedly removed Did You Know Gaming's Heroes of Hyrule video. This comes from My Nintendo News. The team at YouTube channel Did You Know Gaming aren't pleased this morning, as they have posted on their Twitter account that Nintendo has suddenly issued a takedown notice for The Legend of Zelda Heroes of Hyrule video for copyright violation. And that's like one of the big boy copyright strikes against their account. And that's real rough stuff. The Legend of Zelda Heroes of Hyrule was a game that was supposedly pitched to Nintendo by Retro Studios roughly 20 years ago for the Nintendo DS handheld system. It would have been a Final Fantasy Tactics style game made by Retro, set in Hyrule. It seemed like it did have some artwork, but this game never really got anywhere. It is 2 decades old. It is a very weird thing for Nintendo to take this down, because this was a piece of journalism. This is Did You Know Gaming's been doing great work recently. This has been a popular channel for a long time. Their recent series of videos have all just been like, we did a bunch of research and reporting, and then we've talked to the people who are involved in this story, and here's a great video on this subject. And they've done that back to back to back all year long, and I've just become kind of infatuated with what they're doing over there. And it's like, this is real reporting. So the idea that Nintendo feels like it can come in there and be like, no, you can't report on this story because you used a picture. It's like, no, you couldn't do that to a newspaper. You shouldn't be able to do that to a YouTube channel. This is rough stuff. Do you think there's any chance that Nintendo's hears a backlash here and steps off? Because there has been, this Did You Know Gaming YouTube channel on Twitter is out there saying, hey, Nintendo's doing this. Let them know you don't like it. And there's been a bigger response. Do you think Nintendo backs off, though?
I don't see Nintendo backing off, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, ideally, I'd like to see them cave into the public pressure, because in this instance, I think Did You Know Gaming is completely in the right. Because, I've watched several videos here and there. I've never known them to put like a specific twist or spin on anything. They're just straight up reporting history almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, folks are chiming in. It's like, I don't know of any instances of Nintendo backing off. If
Yeah.
anything, they'll just back off in the future without really publicly announcing anything. That still really, really stinks for Did You Know Gaming to get that type of big boy copyright strike.
Yeah.
Because like, Did You Know Gaming, I feel like, has been a channel that's been on the internet for a significant
Yeah, it
chunk
feels
of
like
time.
from the beginning at this point is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things it would come across your feed, and now they've turned themselves into a channel where I sync the videos out when they post them, because it's like you will find out something cool about something like this. And not only that, it's like it will be corroborated by people who were there, and they'll have stories to tell. And I think there was that recent one where it's like they were going to do a Metroid. They were going to do some Metroid spinoff. The person that it was F-Zero. They were going to do an F-Zero physics-based racer, and one of the people that worked on that is this programming genius. And he was like, I have it. We pitched it to Nintendo. They never asked for it, so I own the copyright. And he almost put it out for everyone to play. And he's like, well, listen, just to be careful, I'm not going to do it. And it's like, man, Did You Know Gaming almost made this a little historical artifact publicly available for everyone. That's good work. And this is just a real shame.
I'm scanning through the channel now, or at least Did You Know Gaming's main channel. And do you perhaps think that this is because Nintendo's been the main focus of the channel over the past year?
Yeah, I think Nintendo is the thing that drives traffic for a YouTube channel like that. People do not care about Sega history the way they care about Nintendo history, and then Sega would be the number 2 one there, right? You would think, but it drops off precipitously after that. So if you're in that business, like you're in the Nintendo history business, and so, but. Yeah, I wonder if like they're just frustrated that a bunch of these stories involve digging up dirt, but it just feels so innocuous and needless to try to stop these stories from coming out, because it is past the statute of limitation, you would think, but not according to Nintendo or its lawyers. And of course, that's a thing that doesn't really exist, the statute of limitation here on these weird little stories from people that used to work there. But if people honestly, if it's like, if you want to stop this, tell the people that you worked with back then to stop talking with the press. But they don't have to listen to you. And if they don't listen to you, well, then too bad. Let the stories go out there. This is protected speech at a certain point. It should be protected.
100%.
All right, let's. This story just popped off right before we went live. Shout out to Steven Totillo, who wrapped this up for us. Activision sues California agency that sued it over misconduct. So this comes from Axios, Steven Totillo. He's got a couple of beats here, basically starting with why it matters. Activision has been in a bitter dispute with California state investigators and has repeatedly tried to get that case tossed. That contrast, and this is such a good point, and I always forget this, whenever it is in this argument with the California regulator. Previously, Activision had made an $18 million settlement that it agreed to last September with federal investigators over misconduct at the company. And so when they try to be like, hey, this other regulator is calling us out for misconduct and they don't know what they're talking about, it's like, well, you already settled. What are you talking about? The new suit filed to California Superior Court in Sacramento alleges that the California agency improperly slow-walked or withheld information about its contacts with the media and labor unions regarding the case. And so there's more here, but basically what Activision Blizzard is trying to do is say that, listen, we are being unfairly treated here, and the California regulator, which used to be called the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, and it's changed now to the Civil Rights Department. The CRD, they talk to the press and they talk to unions before actually making this thing available to us, and that's not fair. Now, Activision Blizzard's not saying any of this is necessarily illegal or against the rules, but they're like, we need documents that might be able to show that it was illegal or against the rules. That's where we're at. Activision trying to get those documents and suing to get access to those documents that may or may not show any of this is actually a problem. So if that sounds like they're trying to distract from the problems at Activision, I think, in my opinion, it's because it probably is exactly that. Right, Jan?
Right. I'm assuming. I know that lawyers have to do their job and that
Yes.
Activision is is trying to create some type of smokescreen here. But to me, a normal person not well versed with law, it seems like y'all already agreed to this. Why are you stirring the pot again just to stir the pot? And it seems like you want all of this to spill out on yourself.
Yeah.
Again.
Right. And it's to me what it reads as they were able to get a real slap on the wrist from the federal regulators with that $18 million settlement where they agreed to address these issues at their company. And they want a similar slap on the wrist at worst from the California regulator, and the California regulator does seem like it's out to enact actual change and punish Activision for its long alleged history of toxic work environments, sexual harassment, and protecting people who were either involved in sexual harassment or involved in sexual assault. And that's like, you can hardly blame the regulator. That's why they're there. That's what they're supposed to be doing. The CRD, in its defense, has said that it is legally allowed to redact some of these documents that it hands over to Activision. And it's like, so there is no problem here. This probably will go to court and we'll find out what's next. But it does just feel like a legal tactic to distract from what we all seem to know, at least based on Activision admitting to it in the $18 million settlement, that there were issues and that they were trying to improve on them. But we'll see.
18 million, now thinking about it, is a complete slap on the wrist.
A joke.
And almost a slap on the face to those affected by all of this crap.
Yes.
Knowing,
and they like at the time, Activision was like, this is they said, I think, to investors, this was a win for us. So, cool. Very cool.
Great.
Very cool thing that I wanted to see. All right, finally, it's Thursday. Let's check those Japanese sales charts. Pokemon and Nintendo continue to dominate. This comes from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. We've got the latest Japanese charts for you, and it's another strong week for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, with the latest generation bringing in another 310,235 sales, contributing to a running total of 3.4 million. This puts it just behind Splatoon 3's current total of 3.44 million. That's so it's 3.42 million for Pokemon and 3.44 million for Splatoon 3. Though it's probably safe to say that this has now been surpassed as the time of this writing. So a few weeks back, we were talking about, man, Splatoon 3 selling so fast in Japan, physically and digitally. Pokemon, even bigger now. And this we've known that this Pokemon game was going to be huge from the moment it launched, and it was breaking those records right out of the gate. Big surprise that it's also continuing to do very well in Japan. Although number 2 on this chart, Splatoon 3 still. Another 39,000 copies sold. So just big stuff happening over there. There are only 2 new entries this week on the sales chart, including Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which I guess just launched in Japan, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale. I'm sorry, wait. That's not the end of the name of the game. What the fuck? No. All right, let me try again. Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale! Exclamation point, exclamation point. Let's go! Exclamation point. Go Rush! Exclamation point, exclamation point. So, man, that's a hell of a name. With the latter surely in the running for the most ridiculous game title of all time. Yes, thank you. Sparks of Hope saw decent sales to kickstart its tenure in Japan at 17,000 copies sold. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was at about 7,000, at least on one platform, the Switch platform. The only non-Switch game to be on the top 10, Horizon Forbidden West, at 4,444 copies sold, which is very kind of fun to say. That game also likely packed in with the PlayStation 5, which is why it's back on the chart. In terms of hardware, the Switch OLED model back above 100,000. This has been going kind of up and down, but it's still peaking up back above 100,000. Pretty good, but it's probably where it should be during the holidays. The Switch original model added another 28,000, and the Switch Lite was at 20,000. Interestingly, on the PlayStation side, the PlayStation 5 sold 25,000 units. The PlayStation 4 sold 4,211 units, and then the digital edition of PlayStation 5 sold just under that at 2.4 thousand. So digital edition still very hard to find in most regions. It just seems like Sony is putting its efforts into the PS5 proper. And then for Xbox, 279 units of the Xbox Series X sold, 1,575 of the Xbox Series S. Seems like Microsoft's putting Xboxes in different countries rather than Japan for the holidays, which again makes sense. All right, Jan, that does it for the news. Let's get to the poll question. From the one from yesterday. Let's do that, and then I'm gonna check out what you've done here. Would you ever watch an episode of a real TV show inside a video game? 44.1% said yes, and 66.9% said no. That's I think that's a pretty high number actually for that. But I suppose a lot of people were thinking, hey, I've done that before. I was in a bunch of Remedy games, and I would watch their TV show. So why wouldn't I watch a real TV show? What brought this up, of course, is that you could watch the new Sonic Prime in Roblox, and people are like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. But I think the rest of us were just like, I'm too old to sit in a video game and watch a TV show. Although someone did show me that in that video game, The Darkness, you could watch the entirety of To Kill a Mockingbird just right there on the TV at the beginning of the game when you're on the date. I'm like, I actually might. That'd be a fun stream to just do that. Watch To Kill a Mockingbird with everybody on a tiny little TV inside a video game. That's pretty good stuff. How about you, Jan? Did you watch like Dragon Ball Super in Fortnite?
I didn't watch a whole episode, but I can see, like, I don't know if there's like a specific major TV event, whether it's like an anime or something. I could see folks flocking to perhaps Fortnite. Like, I don't know, Fortnite has Naruto in it now. It has Dragon Ball. It's about to have My Hero. Maybe they could have like a My Hero Academia movie premiere in Fortnite if you have the battle pass. And I could see the youngins flocking to that, perhaps. I don't think it's the weirdest thing. I think it surprisingly will become more normal as service games progress. You might be able to watch all of Get Out and Death Stranding too. Who knows?
I hope so. That would be fantastic. I think you're right. That a lot of people are just hanging out in games, and what stuff you do when you hang out? Well, you consume other media too. So at a certain point, those avatars will just be stand-ins for people and doing other things, and that's the metaverse, baby, which I'm very excited to pivot to personally.
I'm ready to pivot so hard. I'm ready to have a pivot palooza.
I'm ready to pivot palooza all over the place. Just
ready to pee everywhere.
It's gonna be disgusting. I'm ready to get that pee everywhere. Jan, you said you had a poll question idea. I don't see it here in the doc. Did you put it somewhere else?
Oh, sorry. I wrote it down on a piece of paper.
Oh, wonderful. Then I'll just type it in as you tell me.
Tell me if this is a good poll question or not.
I'm ready for it. Let's go for it. I don't have anything else.
Do you think Jeff Bakalar will wear a hat to the Game Awards tonight?
I love this.
Lucy James Games, our own Lucy, put in the Giant Bomb Discord in the behind the scenes chat that he was already wearing a hat when she spotted him in a hotel lobby. Perhaps he has a special hat for the Game Awards.
That could be his pregame hat. You don't know.
Yeah. I've seen Jeff Bakalar wear a beanie, but generally it's a baseball cap. Maybe he has a special fedora.
Ooh, I hope so. Or God. Or do you think does he embrace the bald lifestyle and just like really cleans it up, polishes it, makes it shiny, so when those spotlight hits him, it blinds Jeff Keighley and he falls off the stage, dies.
I gotta add that to the bingo card then.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. We got the Game Awards tonight. We're talking over it. If you're watching this live, if you're listening to the podcast this afternoon, come hang out with us. But the bingo card, this isn't just for you and I. The bingo's for everybody, right?
Yes. We we'll tweet out a link, or we'll put in the chat, the Twitch chat, the Giant Bomb chat. You can play along. It'll be randomized. It should work. I mean, that's the Giant Bomb motto. It should work. And then you can play along with us. And there's no prizes. The prizes, we're all hanging out together as friends.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that means take it extra seriously. And
exactly.
Yes, and we will all get. I'm sure we'll get into fights over what each of the little boxes really means, and I can't wait. It's gonna be a fun time. I think the free space was Hideo Kojima, right? And
yes,
we already know. Yes, that's fantastic. That's exactly right. So we'll put out the information about how to get that again, like for on Twitter, I'm sure. And then once we actually start the live stream, we'll pop it in there. You just play along on your phone. Like have it on your phone. That'll be easier. Laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
Just, write on your laptop with a marker. Jan, what else do we have going on? Are we going to do that Dwarf Fortress stream? Because I'm down.
I actually have to run to the office before they throw any of the stuff on my desk.
You handle that, all right? And then we'll figure out what else we're doing today. But at the very least, hang out with us for the Game Awards.
Yes, no voicemail dump truck today because folks are traveling for the Game Awards.
Out, yeah.
Bacalar, Tam, Lucy, and Dan are there. If you wind up seeing them on the Game Awards stream itself, please take screenshots and tag them.
And you also automatically win bingo if that happens. So.
Yes. Also, tomorrow, another episode of Game S Mornings, correct?
That's right.
We'll have Jan Ochoa popping on tomorrow as well. An episode of UPF, except UPF will now stand for Unprofessional Fortnite.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Grubb, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we're popping off with our own Game of the Year. I was going to say Game of the Awards, but that doesn't make sense.
Goaties of the Year. The
Goaties.
Goaty
Odie. That's right. We're doing it actually in the year this year. And folks, I know when I say I want everyone to temper their expectations, but also have expectations, we have genuinely had to pivot our plans a lot for Game of the Year this year. Concessions had to be made.
We made some lemonade out of some lemons, I think. And I mean, I don't know. It's going to be stupid. I can promise that much. Anything beyond that, who could say?
Yes, it is genuinely going to be stupid, but you'll be with us. So it'll be stupid
you'll
fun.
Be us. You'll be with us. Absolutely. Yes.
You know, we're all going to unite together. We're all going to have fun. I will say that there will be 2 streams.
Yes.
2 streams.
You're going to have your options there.
There'll be one which is your more classic talking heads and Google Doc format with the discussions popping off, and that will be on YouTube if you want that. If you want the other thing, the Pivot Palooza, that will be on Twitch. We do have the ability to feature both on the website, so there will also be that as well. You can have both popping off. Yeah, we're pivoting so hard.
There's a secret room. That's all I'll say. There's a secret room that I have no idea what's in it, and I don't know if we're ever actually going to go inside of it. But there's a secret room.
I know what's in the room because Jess had to run it by me. And I almost want to pour gasoline over everything so we go to the secret room.
Oh, okay. Hell yes.
And of course, archives of everything.
Yeah. Podcast versions, audio versions that have nothing to do with this bullshit that we're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. No worries. And we are also taking that into account that the visual aspect will not play well for the audio listeners. So we're also factoring that in. The archives will be on the Giant Bombcast feed as they always are each year. And those will be up at as ASAP, folks. I think that's it for Game of the Year. Maybe we'll have some more like little updates tomorrow before UPF. And yeah.
It's happening.
We only have 3-4 days left.
I know. I'm like picking one game that I'm actually going to try to play to add to my list and add to my arsenal of games I could talk about, and that's it.
Monday, folks. This coming Monday, let's just put a date on it.
Monday,
December 12th, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. Right? That's how the time math works out.
That's how it works. That 3-hour difference.
Yes, we'll have
4
categories.
time zones, 3 hours. Who knows why it works that way?
We'll have categories, and we'll have a top 10.
We will have a top 10. Yes,
we'll have a top 10. We'll have a top 10,
and we have backup plans if the top 10 implodes on us. So
yes. Unfortunately, this is not in person. This is part of the pivoting process.
Yeah, we wanted to, and it was just honestly the timing of everyone onboarding with a new company again this time of year with the Game Awards, traveling for that. Things just got piled up. We would have loved to do it. We still have ideas about getting together again very soon. Like that stuff's not off the table or anything like that. It was just a messy right now at this time of year.
Very, very messy of real life circumstances, business circumstances, personal circumstances as well. Factoring in significantly this year. And I'm excited
because it was like it gave us a chance to get creative with it, and I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. I am excited, and I hope that excitement, and I know that excitement will transfer over to y'all, the Giant Bomb community. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Jan, thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff Grubb, for letting me have this little spiel about Game of the Year.
No, I love it. It was very helpful, and again, you got me hyped. I'm like ready to go talk about video games with y'all. Hey, thanks for watching at home. Thanks for listening on your podcast feeds, all that stuff. You're the best audience in gaming. I can't wait to hang out with you tonight for the Game Awards, next week for Game of the Year. Until then, however, have a good one. Please take care of yourself, and goodbye.